Hello, viewers. Welcome to our popular program, Political View, reaching you live from Heritage Studio in London. Today, we are going to critically look at the situation of political landscape in Nigeria, because now it's countdown to 2019 general election, and the tension is extremely high. Series of counter allegations within the parties, political parties. We would like to look at the real event. And today, here in the studio with me on my right is Sussie Retty. She's a business analyst and a social worker. Sussie, you are welcome.
Thank you so much.
On my left is Honorable Retty Hon Obanleowo. He's the Director of Communication and Media for the PDP and Presidential Campaign Committee of the PDP here in Europe. It is actually here in the studio that I'm being introduced that Honorable Obanleowo is Director of Communication for PDP. All what we are going to discuss is not, he is not representing party. He is here as a Nigerian, and all our discussion is going to be based on being a Nigerian citizen, and all of us are we are interested in what is going on back home. So our viewers, as we start, we will open the line when it's time for people to to call in and also to contribute as well. So I would like to start from you, Sussie. Let us quickly look at the situation now. The campaign now is high. Mm-hmm. There are a series of reports. When we read some report about some certain states, you've been surprised. For instance, let us look at Ogun State and Imo State. In Ogun State, the outgoing governor is going to Senate, and according to the report, is supporting another candidate from another party. Mm-hmm. The same thing in Imo State as well. Yeah. So this is the first time I think this kind of event will occur in Nigeria. So what is your own view? What's your take on that?
I think, for me, one of the things that surprises me is the fact that so close to the elections, people are chopping and changing parties. And I don't know, disrespect to PDP, but it seems to be happening mainly within these two parties.
That's the
yes,
PDP
and APC. Yeah, so it seems to be happening mainly between them. So then part of you then tends to wonder, are they having Nigerians for a laugh? Because they're just swapping and changing, but staying within. When you look at how many times Dino has jumped ship and gone back, all the others has jumped ship. So it's sad in a sense, because I don't think Nigeria and the masses actually have a real voice where they can actually be heard. I think we rant a lot, we wail a lot, we talk a lot, but is anyone actually listening to us? Because those on top, they still do what they want to do, regardless of what we are saying. I think some of the stories cannot be believed, because yesterday or day before yesterday, I saw a picture of, Imo State's governor, what's his name again? Yeah, I saw him and Buhari walking side by side.
During the campaign,
yeah, and exactly. And people are saying that there's conflict between them. They didn't look like there was conflict. They were smiling and chatting. So I think it's one of those confusing things for the Nigerian people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Now, Mr. Obanleowo, let's quickly look. Do you have a take on this before we proceed further?
I think I agree with what Sussie said. It's quite unfortunate that we have a system that has allowed so much of this lawlessness in the first instance anyway. And unfortunately, when this happens, there's nothing anybody can really do about it anyway, because there are no rules or regulations in place to stop anybody from joining one party or another. So, and it is quite unfortunate, but I guess a lot of people actually look at it from a different dimension. When I was in the studio last week, my colleague, he said, the reasons why a lot of people are actually moving from PDP to APC now is because of the fact that it's a safe haven for them. So, you know, when you join APC, you know, whatever you have done in the past, your sins are forgiven.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, it happens here in the UK. I mean, sometimes it could be conflict of ideas, or you know, probably I mean, a conservative member might disagree completely with the policies, you know, within the party frame.
But Ade, can I interrupt you
Yeah.
there? If you're saying that,
Yeah.
that is fine. If
Yeah.
somebody jumps from PDP to APC.
Yeah.
But the fact is that we've got bed hopping going on here.
Yeah.
So they go from PDP to APC. Hold on a sec, I'm a bit tired here. And they go back to PDP. And then they're there. Then it's like, no. They're jumping back. So at what time were there problems if you keep on going back and forth?
But from my own opinion, let's quickly look at it. Both the PDP and APC can do. Many Nigerians actually don't know that both parties have the same political ideology.
But that's what I'm saying.
Because
they're
when you
the
look at
same
the
thing.
PDP now, PDP, the definition of the People Democratic Party, they are Democrat. But majority of people there, people tend to believe that they are not real Democrat. They're coming to APC, which is basically is a progressive party, is Democrat as well. So that we find it very difficult to really see the party that is of political, I mean, which the political, ideology is opposite of it. So now we have different parties. But Nigerians, I don't actually know if many people really know that maybe present day people are not joining party based on political ideology anymore. People are joining party with the fact that they look at this party. This is the party that could enable them to win their ticket.
Yeah, you see, you have to understand the reasons why different people go into politics anyway.
Okay.
I mean, in my 21 years as a member of PDP, I mean, I have so many of my members that they joined PDP for different reasons. Some probably to contest elections. Some maybe they're looking at appointments. Some maybe just to have a feel of what politics is all about and engage in one way or the other. So
You missed out the main one. To make money.
You believe.
Susie,
That's the main reason.
But many people will say they are going there to serve.
I think to a reasonable extent. I think yes, you could say that. And who am I to say you haven't got the point? But the thing is that, as I said earlier, people go into politics for different reasons, best known to them. But I just think that in a system where democracy is paramount to what I think every individual should believe in, that should be the key ingredient, which is, government for the people and by the people, for the people, so that's my stance on that.
So, Susie, let us look at another popular area as well, which people had actually been complaining about, that the women, they are not fully represented. That it's like the women are being changed when it comes to political landscape of Nigeria. Look at the present situation now. Recently, at the National Assembly, even in the majority of the contestants, the women, they are not turning out in large number. What do you think is the cause of this? Are they not being encouraged? Are they gagged? Or what really?
I think until you get a society that looks upon women as equals, it's not going to happen. Because most women that are in politics are looked upon as rebels, are looked upon as outspoken people, because that's the only reason why they're able to get to where they are, because they have this certain strength around them that makes them different from the average norm of a woman. So, until, when you look at it, okay, look, you had the presidential candidate debate. There was one woman there. Wouldn't we ask ourselves that, why would a woman put herself up to become the presidential candidate, to become one of the presidential candidates, go for a debate, talk against APC, because she was not talking for APC, and then 1 week later, she's like, right, I'm resigning, I'm not going for it anymore, I'm joining APC. She didn't even say that she was going to join the coalition. which is something she was part of when they were trying to put it together. So then it's like, wow, I wonder what happened there.
It wasn't, I mean, our supporters.
Yeah.
She has actually quit politics. She's no more contesting. But
Yeah.
our supporters
So-
said they are supporting APC.
Yeah, but then doesn't that ask? Okay, what was she leading then? Who was she leading then? What message was she giving them? Let's be honest, because you are your supporters. You represent your supporters. So when she stood up in that debate, she was talking for her party, for her supporters.
Sure.
So it still boils down to the same thing. I'm not surprised she's no longer doing politics, because you can't be that barefaced. I think a man could have done it and said, right, you know what, I'm leaving, I'm going APC, but I think it would have been harder for a woman to do it.
Okay, let us look at this aspect as well. Unlike the election is on now, the campaign is, the tension is eating up, is very high now. I don't know, Mr. Obanleowo, what advice are you going to give the electorate regarding this election? Because series of promises, what are the advice are you going to give average Nigerian? What do you think they should watch out for in their candidate?
You see, the most important thing, I've been advocating that in the last few weeks, before the whole thing started gaining momentum. And I've always said, there's nothing you can take away from experience. The advice I'm personally going to give to people who are looking at voting for their candidate is to look at what they have in their manifesto, their programs. I mean, what is this person telling you now that you have not seen in the last 4 years? I mean, although sitting here, a lot of people will say, okay, but what did your party do in 16 years? And I keep saying, look, when Obasanjo was president of Nigeria for 8 years, we knew the state of our economy during those 8 years. And the person who is contesting now was the vice president then. So, after that, Yar'Adua took over. We knew the state of our economy then. So, you have to look at these leaders and look at what they achieved within those years. So it is very difficult for somebody to say, oh, 16 years of PDP administration has been a waste of time, a waste of resources. No, I mean, the record speaks for itself.
Mr. Obanleowo, let me cut you in.
Yeah.
Susie, I want you to look at the parties, all the political parties.
Oh,
Not
I can't
all the-
do
no,
that.
no,
It's
no, no,
91.
No, not.
Oh.
No, let us look at the major. Let us look at the major ones.
Okay.
Look at the major ones.
All right.
And I want you to critically look at their manifestos if you've seen anything, or perhaps what advice you have for the Nigerians, the electorate. Because one thing is that you see, in Africa,
Yeah.
the electorate, they don't actually believe that maybe they have that power with their cards. This is Africa whereby you see some people. I want you to proceed for that.
I'll tell you what, it's hard for me to talk about their manifestos because for some reason or the other, within Nigerian politics, manifestos are not promoted. So you hardly have politicians talking about manifestos. Now, for me, when they were having the presidential debate, it was meant to be about, it wasn't meant to be about President Buhari. So
Okay.
your man Atiku coming and then going, even though he just flew all the way from America,
Sure.
was totally out of order because he's meant to be there to say to the people, this is what I am bringing to you and this is how I'm going to do it. And that is your manifesto because your manifesto is what you're going to do. It wasn't to look at the past government.
Sure.
Now, Nigerians have been cheated because they have not been able to hear what the two main parties are preparing to bring to them. So it is very hard for and if you cannot bring your manifesto to the people, then it is very hard for the masses to vote for you on those grounds, as in who has the best manifesto. So you have a situation whereby Nigerians are voting for the most popular person to them, or to people around them, or to their family, and that is how they are voting. I think it is very hard at this stage to even what's the word? It's not evaluate, but examine any party's manifesto. Nigerians are stuck with a few things: roads, water, light, education, transportation. That is all we focus on, let's be realistic. Because at the moment, because of the state that Nigeria is in, that is what they need. They need someone who can bring those 5 things to them. And then once we have those 5 things, we can focus on the real things that even puts us deeper into the international arena.
Thank you very much, Susie. Honorable Obanleowo, let us look at this area. As we said earlier, it's not countdown. We are very close to the main thing, election. The tension is high. Many people are looking forward to peaceful election, which we are actually praying for.
Yeah, you have to pray.
So let us look at the whole situation now. It's Nigerians. We are not talking about the politicians. We are Nigerians, the electorate. Are they ready for election, from your own view?
Are Nigerians ready?
I want you to speak as a Nigerian.
Yes.
I don't want you to come into this.
I would say yes, and I would say no. You see, because the reason why I said yes is there are majority of our fellow Nigerians that are desperate for change. They are just fed up of living a life of servitude, where there's no prospects of what the future says for them and their children in terms of the things my sister just mentioned a few minutes ago. Education, health, infrastructures, all these things, just the basic things of life. That's what they are asking for. But in the event that most of these things are not there, they're not visible, then there are so many people who are undecided, most especially the youth. I mean, I get a lot of comments daily, and you just hear some people who are just disenfranchised from the whole thing. They're not interested.
Susie, please excuse me. When last you visited Nigeria?
I was in Nigeria in August, September for 1 month. And I was in Nigeria in April. So I've been twice. Yeah.
Okay.
Why? Did you want to say?
No. Basically, it's actually necessary to know precisely what is Nigeria, because it's like here now, there are some Nigerians, some had actually traveled
No, I'm not one of them, yeah.
And some of those who had actually traveled for pastors believe that maybe the situation of things is exactly the way it was
there.
before.
I was there for a month,
Nigeria is a situation about things are changing gradually. When you look at Nigeria of yesterday, even if you travel to Nigeria last month, going there today now, things won't be precisely how it used to be. But only that people used to seem to be comparing Nigeria to some other countries. But when you travel to any African country, perhaps you will know that Nigeria, we have actually been extremely blessed. Anybody who has traveled to any other African countries. I
feel that we shortchange ourselves if we need to compare ourselves with someone who is doing worse than us. I think being such a rich and a resourceful country with resourceful, strong, hard-working people, we need to compare ourselves to the countries of the Western world. Being a social worker, one message I got, having gone to school here and gone to school in Nigeria, worked here and worked in Nigeria, I feel that I can compare. And Nigeria has a country of, when you're starting from secondary school, you have ambitious, hard-working kids that you don't have in this country. You understand?
Sure.
Now they move from, I know that when I left this country, my plan was to leave school and go on the dough, have a good life, and then I'll think about what I'll do later on. But before I was to do my GCSEs, I went to Nigeria. And then within that short period, my goal was, because I had to follow the masses and it had to be to go to university. So my goal changed along the way. Now, after university, my goal is let me get a good job. A few years back in this country, every student's goal was not to go to university. It's actually the third world country kids who are, I don't understand the first and second generation thing, but the ones that have been brought here that I feel have influenced a lot of kids in this country to move that way. Now, what my question is, where do we lose it? We work so hard, our kids work so hard in primary school, they work so hard in secondary school, they work so hard in university, and then it all goes downhill. Because you've got nothing to offer them once they get up there. There are so many jobless people in Nigeria who are happy and willing to work. So it's like even me, who comes from the UK into Nigeria, because of the state of the country, the rich and we that come from the UK live a life of luxury that we cannot live back here. So I will sit in my house and I would say, right, I need to wash my clothes. Christopher, can you come and pick up my clothes? How much am I paying you? 2,000 naira. And my clothes come back cleaned, ironed, and packaged like they're brand new. But and this Christopher that has done this is educated with university level. You understand? So the government fails our Nigerian youth as soon as they leave university, because there's nowhere else for them to move on. And I remember when Buhari took over, 2015, he promised that he would give the youth a certain amount of money. It wasn't that much, but I think it was something like 5,000 every month. If we're honest, with everything that's going on in Nigeria, with all the money that they regained, we are rich enough to do that. It's not that much, but it would give them some purpose and other things can happen. So I don't know.
Let me just chip in.
There's an aspect. This particular area has actually been my concern, because it's like most of the time when you look at the situation, even some other country, even when we look at it from this country, perspective as well, a lot of people always emphasizing in government, especially the leaders. People have not actually looked at the followers, the Nigerians. Do you see?
Yeah.
The reason most of the problems, even the leaders, they are Nigerians, they are part of us. Look at the system of this democracy we are all talking about. It's a government of the people and by the people, and actually for people as well. The problem is that our people, as people being, it's not that kind of university education. Our people's orientation, the way they think, the way they see things, a lot of blame, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's the people. I want us to hear about, we look at the people themselves than the government. For instance, the election is coming now. Somebody comes, okay, wanted to give you some amount, certain amount of money, probably giving you a particular little. Who you to come and have a bag of rice? Do you come and vote for that person? But now, what about if you give, somebody give, then you don't take? Who has that power? Mr. Obanleowo, I want you to look at that area.
Yeah, you see.
And don't look at it from a politician. Just look at it from the perspective of ordinary Nigerian.
Yes.
Ordinary Nigerian.
Mr. Moderator, I think I understand your bone of contention. But you see, you have to understand that, the situation in Nigeria is so critical and so bad that you can't really blame people when it gets to that stage.
Morality.
It goes out the window.
It goes out of the window.
It's not existing.
It is not existing. You see, because,
everybody has to have
just like Sussie said a few minutes ago, you go through the rigors of life, you educate yourself to a certain level, then when it gets to that stage, the government now says you're on your own. So what do you expect? So somebody who is educated to maybe a degree or master's level, and there's nothing there's no reward for ability. And when there's no reward for ability, there's no reward for effort, these are the kind of things that you get. This is the kind of situation that will arise when you take somebody's confidence away from them and make them feel so insignificant. Then these are the kind of things that happens.
Excuse me, Susie.
Yeah.
Actually, I have opportunity of participating in election in this country, whereby I remember there was a time going out with politicians, canvassing, knocking door on people's door to, sell the party to them for them to vote for the party. Do you think that here in this country, look at the people, can people look up to any politician to get any favor or to seek any favor before they will, vote for a particular political party?
Do you know what? I think every country in the world, no matter how organized it is, no matter how transparent things are meant to be, has their underground games that are being played. And there are people that can get favors, yes, depending on, in life, whether we like it or not. It's not just in Nigeria, who you know. You understand? So at the end of the day, the sad thing is, I'll tell you one, I don't know how they're going to knock on doors in Nigeria. Half the houses don't have doors anyway. Do you know what I mean? No, it is. Do you know what? It is absolutely sad and crazy, because it was like I said to you, I was in Nigeria in September and I went to Abeokuta. And one thing I noticed, right, so I was on the motorway that they're just building, you know that motorway. And then I realized that all the houses, a lot of the houses were cut into two. But there were people living in the houses. I could see candle lights, or some people had lights. And then you could see you would see half a house, but you could see the door to the next room. But people were still living in there, and I couldn't understand.
That's the fact that the houses...
I couldn't understand, because we were going to Aluma Rock. So it was when we were coming back, it was a bit dark. And I saw that there were lights in a lot of these houses, because before I could see that people were selling things outside or clothes were hanging. I was like, hold on a sec, these houses are cut into two, what happened? And then they said, oh, they wanted to build a road, the people were offered money, some of them took the money, and then they refused to move by so-so date. So what the government did was they just came and they cut the houses wherever the border was, they just cut it, but they left the people there. So the people have taken the money and they live there. So it's like, what politician is going to go and knock on any of that? Are you going to come and knock on my door when I live in half of a house that you have sawed into two?
Okay, Caesar. Let's quickly go on commercial break. So when we come back, we will intensify our effort in addressing this crucial issue. So our commercial break.
My daughter-in-law, so how are you planning for my son's birthday? No, I have to cook up for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No? It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chiji, okay. Hi, Sorwete Market. Please pack some ogirisi. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law, it's arranged, but you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Isio Morocco. My daughter-in-law, everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited you.
Now you can talk until you tire for just 11 kobo a second. Call all networks in Nigeria and 30 international destinations, including US, UK, China, Canada, and India for just 11 kobo per second. Dial *211# to activate.
That's Silk Boo-Boo.
The largest data network, Glow, Grandmasters of Data.
Heritage Television, promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television, we cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries, and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.
Lipstick on my teeth. You guys are not watching.
Welcome back. Before we went to commercial break, basically we were looking at the
Of a
general
canvas for
political canvas in Nigeria, how the politicians are approaching the electorate. So now, Mr. Obanleowo, I want you to look at the political situation of Nigeria, especially the canvassing, compare it with what is happening here in United Kingdom and some other, rest part of the world, where the campaign in Nigeria with that of the UK, especially you do mention about how knocking door, which Susie said it will be very difficult in Nigeria to go and knock on door of an angry man or somebody whom the government
hasn't
have
had
done
light for
something.
4 days.
Who hasn't had light. 4 days. Let's talk about some few days. So
or 2 weeks.
I want you to look at the approach of that campaign, the politician generally.
You see, the campaign, it takes an unusual pattern. An unusual pattern in the sense that the people who are actually contesting, in most cases, you always have a local man or a local woman with a local knowledge.
Yes.
So, and it all boils down to who has the most to offer. Then you see, in politics, there's nothing like loyalty these days. You know, people they vote these days based on what is in there for them.
Yeah.
Because gone are the days whereby, because a lot of people have been let down for so long. So it all boils down to one thing. Listen, what have you got to offer us? If you need to convince me and give me what I think I truly deserve now, because I know that by the time the elections are over, that is it. So APC, PDP, all the other political parties, you see, it all boils down to, because no matter how good the intentions of the candidate is, you see, it all still boils down to one thing. Is he in the right party? Is he in the right party? Mm-hmm. What did this party do the last time? Can we actually trust this person? So it all boils down to perceptions, and hearsay. Look, like by that go one say, this person we think is a better proposition than. So you see, and as I said earlier on, how do you convince somebody who has actually been through the rigors of stagnation, starvation for years? Mm-hmm. Somebody who is disillusioned, who is frustrated. Obviously, whatever you throw at him, he's going to take it. So if my party comes now and says, okay, I'm the best person with the best manifesto, but just vote for me based on what I think I can offer. It will take a lot of convincing when somebody from the other party comes and says, look, forget about what Mr. Obanleowo's views are on his political agenda. Here's 20,000 naira. So unfortunately, they have used money to buy the conscience of a lot of people, and unfortunately, that has always been the trend. That has always been the pattern for so long. So in order to correct these abnormalities now, we need to go back to basics and reevaluate things the way it should be done. Look at the way elections are being conducted here. Mm-hmm. Even though a lot of people might say, look, here there's welfare system, they have a system that is working here. In Nigeria, there's systemic failure. Yes, systemic failure did not just happen overnight. Something led to systemic failure. So it is those things that we need to, make sure that we address before things can begin to get back to how it used to be. Don't forget, the problems of Nigeria didn't just start now. Go and look back at past antecedents, even during the Shagari administration. Electoral malpractices and all this is what.
But when you look at then, that particular period,
yes.
I strongly believe that there is what we call party discipline. You understand? You don't see somebody in that political party attacking one another. Even at the Senate, you have the Senate leader of each political parties, and whatever the political rancor that is going on within the party is not that commonly open, whereby somebody will just, somebody will not listen or not obey the party's, directive. No, that's not the area. Let us look at this particular area which have been addressed now. That okay, Mr. Obanleowo has actually looked at it from perspective of the how election, campaign, how the politicians have been, how they approach the electorate.
Yeah.
I want you to look at it from here, the system here, then the system in Nigeria. Look at what is the reason. Because somebody said something one day, he said, when you take all Nigerians, take them and bring them to United Kingdom, and take people in United Kingdom, take them to Nigeria, you believe that the people will still do the same thing from what they are normally used to.
They could. You see, one of the things is that Nigerian politicians are not approachable. You see, politicians in the UK, they start from the grassroots. So they start with the people that are going to be voting for them. A politician does not just become Prime Minister overnight. They would have been an MP before. They would have been a mayor. They would have been exactly. And they're already living a life where they're having contact with their constituencies. They have an office, they go to that office, people come and visit them, and then they move up the ladder. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think here in the UK we've ever had a Prime Minister that has not been an MP or a mayor before. I don't think no one has just come from nowhere and become an MP. Do you guys know anyone? Now,
we have to look at the system ourselves.
Yes,
here,
so
the system is parliamentarian
exactly.
system.
So there's a system in place. Now, in Nigeria, our politicians are not in touch with the masses. The life that the masses live is totally different from the life that a politician lives. And a lot of the time, that's why you have people wanting to become a politician. And it doesn't matter whether they want to become, what do they call these ones that are just chairman of a local government? Even the chairman of a local government has money now in Nigeria. Once even an Oba of a village, a little village, all of them have money. So, but the thing is, they're not in touch with the people. And the problem with Nigerians is that when they become a politician, they now become a different person. Because now I'm a politician, you can't be calling me Susie, You have to call me Senator Susie.
Excellent.
You have to, Her Excellency. You understand? Even if I was being called Princess Susie before, it's now Her Excellency, and you have to worship me. I'm on a different class. You see that way we used to interact? It doesn't work like that anymore. Even if you are my friend, you're coming to my... Listen, things have changed. So the sad thing is what our politicians aim for.
Susan, so what you just said now, that happens everywhere though.
It happens everywhere, but with a level of respect.
Yes, but even because take for instance, I know this is just me. Recently I became a minister in my church.
Yeah.
And I just said to my friends when they call me, I just listen. Remember, have some manners.
Wait, hold on. So what do you ask them to be calling you now?
Call me, a deacon.
So I want to ask you.
So it's what you are supporting this view.
He's supporting it now.
You see,
Babes, can I just say something to you?
Yes.
It's like even when you think of the church. Now the way I roll with my pastor. My white pastor in my English church.
Sure.
Is different from the way I roll with my black pastor in a Nigerian church.
Why do you think?
Because the Nigerian pastor, I'm not going to name the church, but there's one church, and that church, the wife of the pastor, they walk in, so everyone's seated. They walk in with their entourage, and there's somebody to hold the pastor's wife's bag. There's someone to hold, and I remember when my sister was on the phone talking to someone and said, it's going to be your turn to hold the pastor's wife's bag. I done it last week. In an English church, you can't get that. So you see, it's deep-rooted in our system. Once I become a politician, even before I become the politician, for the fact that I am contesting, forget it. I am not reachable like I was before because I'm good. If I don't win, we'll go back to normal.
You're going to cut yourself from people.
That is what they do now.
Like a class.
Listen, Nigerians are going to contest though. You don't call them Your Excellency when they've won. Once they're going to contest, they are now Your Excellency. When people address them on social media, they don't address them as President to be. President, you have won. You are the only one. Let's be realistic.
But But looking at it from it's also to the same thing that I mentioned earlier on that the problem is not the politician, it's our people.
But it's the
our
mindset.
system, the mindset. What do you think? Mr. Obanleowo, what do you think that we can do? To resolve this issue, because the problem is that when you look at Nigerian political scene, go back from 1960 up to today, look at the system of that. The First Republic, then we are even having a parliamentarian system. Some people do to compare it with now that we are operating presidential system from 1979 up to date. But the same thing our people, what do you think can change the system, the approach, the manner how our people think?
The answer to that question is very, very simple. You see, we need to go back to our days when we were in school. I can remember vividly when I was a student at Baptist Boys School at Abeokuta.
Okay.
And during that time, apart from the school principal, the vice principal, the administrative staff, to every secondary school in Ogun State, we had a military man to administer discipline.
At the gate.
Yes. So, today, where is everything? Discipline.
Yeah, Buhari now. Sorry.
Discipline is key, is crucial.
Yeah.
Even though I can tell you now that during those years, yes, we were rascals, we did our own thing, but the basic norms and values of society were there.
Yeah, but you've lost the basic norms and value of society
Yes,
because the country is not being ruled properly. The masses are not being looked after. People are too hungry to go with rules of society.
Yeah, so to answer that question, until when we search our minds as leaders and say, okay, now I am contesting for a particular position now, 40 years or 50 years ago, when somebody was in that position that I'm vying for now, what were their achievements? Can I relate what our fathers achieved then to what I'm aspiring to do now?
People call it civilization.
No, I'll tell you what we're calling accountability.
Accountability, yes. Accountability is not there anymore.
There's no accountability.
There is no accountability. So what we are, and when there's no accountability, unfortunately, there's no sincerity of purpose, and there's no sincerity of heart. So what do you expect? You see, because people are so gullible that they follow, the followers follow the people in front of them.
The followers follows the followers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and there's an adage in Yoruba. We need to be sincere.
Please, can you translate that? Yeah.
Somebody is complaining that, look, the surface at the top is how would I put it? How would I describe it to her in such a way that she would, that
it's like
everything at the top.
What is it that
it's not balanced. It's not balanced.
Somebody who is actually carrying something. The top is bent.
They know they are carrying.
The person said that your emphasis on the top. You have to look at it from the bottom.
You have to look at it from the bottom.
I agree.
You see? So that is the problem we have in Nigeria is not going to disappear overnight.
Gradually.
It's going to be a gradual transition.
Oh, Susie, let me come to you because it's like the time is not on our friend. We are very close to where we are going to draw the curtain of the program. But before then, I want you to look at the issue which I've mentioned where we started. Now, the women have to come to mention about women that mothers, especially mothers. You see, the among those who are going to be mostly the people who normally formulate trouble, those who cause mayhem in public, are children of somebody.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for the mothers at home? What advice do you need to give them regarding their children that the forthcoming election? What advice
do you know
do you have for them?
I think
mother.
As a mother, if I'm being realistic, I have to be realistic. What can I, as a mother, say to those getting involved in politics now, because they're adults, they're not school kids. So
I'm talking about the people they use to canvass problem. Those.
yeah, but the people they use to canvass.
Some people, when they go to election, go to the polling booth now. There are things going on there.
Listen, they're going to be adults there. They're going to be adults looking after the polling booths. They're not going to be youth, are they? And it's whatever their party has arranged. And if you get any youth there, their parents most probably don't know that they're going to be there doing anything. And if they're there, they're not. If they're any youths like 16, 17, they're not there for any good. They're most probably there to cause mayhem or something.
Sure.
So it's. I'm just being honest with you here. It's a really hard one because if there's anybody that needs to be spoken to, if you ask me, it's the political parties that need to be told, let this just be a fair election. At the end of the day, let it be a polling booth. People go and vote. Don't disturb them. You can have your representative there to make sure that they do it fairly and cleanly and walk out. I've been an election usher, what do they call them here in the UK? I think I've done it for 3 years running. And we were there from 6 in the morning till 10 at night, till they came to collect the boxes. Nobody argued. What are you doing arguing in a polling booth anyway, if you're just going there to place your vote? You're only going there to do your finger now and walk out. Any conversation that would have taken place should have taken place before you came to cast your vote. So let's be honest with ourselves. It is the politicians and it is their people that they put there to watch, because half of them put people there, and it is also the people that are looking after the polling booth. Hopefully they have not been paid behind, so that all of a sudden all the boxes go disappearing or people are behind somewhere filling in forms. So no, don't bring mothers into this one.
No, what I'm talking is that the mother need to advise the youth, their children who are.
But half the youth. But,
do you know but
if I haven't got money to give my youth, and some politician has more money to give my youth, so my youth is not going to listen to me. Let's be realistic. My youth will say yes to me, but my youth is going behind the back door. I'm going to play football, going to collect his money and straight to where he got money from.
Sussie, we are very close to the time. It's been my pleasure having both of you in the studio until next week when we will bring another edition of this program. I sincerely appreciate your time. Sussie, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for coming. Mr. Obanleowo, thank you very much. So, until next week when we bring another edition of this program, we sincerely appreciate you, our viewers. From Heritage Television in London, I am Oladeji. Thank you.
My daughter-in-law. So how are you planning for my son's birthday? I have to cook for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No. It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chiji, okay. Hi, so wait a market. Please pack some ogirisi. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law. It's arranged, but you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Isio Morocco. My daughter-in-law. Everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited.
Now you can talk until you tire for just 11 kobo of a second. Call all networks in Nigeria and 30 international destinations, including US, UK, China, Canada, and India for just 11 kobo per second.
Promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries, and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.